26. Heady with the beginnings of love, and fresh off 7 sparkling weeks with Thomas, I found myself at a crossroads. He, an alluring package of charm, intellect, and good looks, had invited me to witness a pivotal moment, his 29th birthday, celebrated not with balloons and cake, but with a long weekend retreat in his father's sprawling country house, nestled in a quaint French village. The catch? It wouldn't be just the two of us. Joining us were Alex and Bart, two figures from his boyhood, cast in the bronze of long-held friendships. And hovering over the weekend, like a benevolent but unknowable presence, was Thomas's father. Excitement, tinged with nerves, fluttered in my stomach. This wasn't just a birthday party. It was a portal into a world I longed to understand, a chance to see the taproot of the man who'd captured my heart. Day 1. Friday arrives, sun-kissed and promising. The air holds a crisp anticipation, mirroring my mood. We've arrived at Thomas's childhood home, nestled in a town where time moves like molasses. Thomas's father, a man with crinkled eyes and a laugh that lines your heart with warmth, welcomes me like a long-lost friend. Conversation flows easily, his gentle wit and quiet wisdom a balm to the city's cacophony I left behind. It's a good beginning, a canvas painted with hope. Day 2. Saturday dawns, the world still drowsy with the afterglow of a perfect day. Sunlight dappled through leaves paints dancing patterns on the lawn where we prepare a feast for the neighbors. Faces I've only seen in photographs materialize, laughter spills like the overflowing wine glasses. It's a tapestry woven with stories and shared history, the warmth of belonging seeping into my bones. As twilight paints the sky with streaks of rose and violet, we gravitate towards a crackling bonfire. The embers glow, casting flickering shadows on faces illuminated by shared memories. Stories dance around the flames, innocent anecdotes morphing into bittersweet confessions. Then, like a pebble disturbing a still pond, the tone shifts. Thomas and his friends, their voices slurred with the evening's revelry, begin to unveil fragments of their past. Stories weave into each other, a cacophony of dark experiences that turn my blood to ice. The playful flames seem to recoil, and the laughter dies on our lips, replaced by a sick silence. It's not just the words, it's the glint in their eyes, the unsettling casualness with which they toss around these really sick memories. Each shared anecdote feels like a blow, chipping away at the fragile trust I'd built with this town, with Thomas. The warmth is gone, replaced by a gnawing chill that creeps into my bones, questioning everything I thought I knew about this place, about these people. The Friday's sunshine seems like a distant dream, the day's joy tarnished by the shadows revealed at nightfall. Back in their early teens, Thomas and Bart engaged in a cruel and manipulative act toward a classmate named Arthur, who was known for being reserved and quiet. Over the course of several months, they relentlessly bullied him, both verbally and through a fabricated online persona. They created a fake girl profile on a popular messaging platform and pretended to be interested in Arthur, stringing him along with flirtatious messages and false promises of connection. This charade went on for an agonizing period, amplifying Arthur's isolation and vulnerability. Adding to the emotional abuse, they shared details of their fabricated relationship with others at school, turning Arthur's private emotions into a cruel joke. The pinnacle of their torment came in the form of a deceptive online meeting, with Arthur being sent on a fruitless journey, wearing a garment based on an inside joke, only to be left alone and humiliated. This public exposure proved deeply traumatizing, leading Arthur to withdraw from school and likely face lasting emotional consequences. Do you think that Thomas, Alex, and Bart had any bit of shame about it? Not a bit of remorse, in particular on Thomas and Bart's side. They kept making jokes about it and even seemed to regret that they were not good enough at being evil to convince the boy to send nudes or sexy pics. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened if he had done so. The air hung heavy with a mix of stale beer and unspoken tension. Every laugh that had echoed moments ago now felt discordant, grating against the raw discomfort that had burrowed its way into my gut. Words wouldn't suffice to describe the storm brewing within me. Calling it uncomfortable would be like trying to capture the fury of a hurricane with a teacup. Thomas's actions, fueled by reckless abandon and cheap liquor, had crossed a line so sharp it cut through the night's frivolity like a cold blade. Horror had gripped me, twisting my insides into a tangled knot. Never had I felt such a surge of revulsion, not just towards him, but also towards a part of myself that had ever considered him a friend. The disappointment etching itself onto Thomas's father's face, etched far deeper than any wrinkle, mirrored the turmoil within me. It was a silent condemnation, a testament to the shattered trust and the wreckage left in its wake. His drunken stupor, oblivious to the devastation he'd caused, only added to the bitter sting of the moment. Needing escape, I sought refuge in the night. Leaving the party behind, each step I took felt like pulling myself from a quicksand of disillusionment. Reaching the sanctuary of my house, I closed the door not just on the cacophony of the party, but also on a chapter I was now desperate to leave behind. The weight of the evening, a leaden cloak, refused to relinquish its grip on me. Each closed eye brought visions of Thomas's carefree smirk, a stark contrast to the turmoil churning within. His footsteps, heavy and late, were a tangible manifestation of the distance growing between us. At 4 a.m., I chose silence, a hollow victory against the deafening reality. This wasn't just funny, it was the sound of our connection fraying at the seams. The third day, a crisp Sunday morning, dawned on the cusp of Thomas's birthday. Our initial plan, a romantic, surprise lunch for two in a nearby haven, followed by a late afternoon celebration with the wider group. But as dawn's fingers traced the horizon, a different path unfurled before me. In the hushed quiet of early morning, I gathered my belongings, a phantom in the still house. Unseen, unheard, I slipped out, heading toward the train station, where a locomotive hummed, promising escape and a return to Paris. Leaving wasn't easy. A text, crafted in the solitude of pre-dawn, hovered on my fingertips. "Happy birthday, Thomas," it purred, laced with anticipation. "Meet me at chosen location, an hour from here, for a surprise. I need to head out early to ensure everything's perfect." Google Maps, my fickle accomplice, had conjured this random spot, a veil behind which my true intentions shimmered. This wasn't a betrayal, but a gamble. A chance to rewrite the narrative, to surprise not just Thomas, but myself. The train rattled eastward, iron wheels etching a new chapter onto the tracks of our story. Every clickety-clack was a beat of my racing heart, a metronome counting down to the unknown. The sun barely peaked above the horizon when Thomas woke up, the text already burning a question mark into his mind. Excitement crackled in his voice as he promised to adhere to the instructions religiously. By midday, he stood at the appointed spot, anticipation twisting his gut. At 12:30, I intercepted him, a slight delay forcing him to cool his heels. With a veiled promise, I redirected him to a quaint restaurant, 30 minutes astray from the original plan. He arrived precisely at 1:15. I sent a quick text, my fingers dancing across the screen. "Running late? Be there in 20. You'll understand when you see me." A playful challenge laced the words. I added, "Order something delicious, and splurge on the most extravagant bottle. Think of it as an amuse-bouche for what's to come." By 1:30, his calls began to pepper my phone, punctuated by worried texts that chipped away at the facade of my composure. 45 minutes stretched into an eternity before I finally responded, a single sentence in a language understood only by him, a whispered echo of his own past transgressions. "So, how does it feel to have people play with your feelings?" Then, silence. I let the unanswered calls and frantic texts wash over me, a relentless ocean against my resolve. An unknown number pierced the quiet. It was Alex, his voice thick with confusion. "What's happening?" "Thomas' birthday is ruined because of you." The anger coiled within me unfurled. "Tell him this is a minuscule taste of what he did to Arthur." I spat, the words icy and final. "Tell him to stop calling me." With a click, the line went dead, another wall erected in the fortress I'd built around my heart. The block button, a cold comfort, sealed the fate of our connection. Looking back, the evening after confronting Thomas was a mosaic of emotions. The sadness of a budding connection fading was undeniable, but a seed of doubt had also been planted. Had I let fleeting anger overshadow empathy and understanding? The next few days brought a chorus of contrasting voices. A close friend challenged my stance, questioning whether it was my place to punish someone for actions shrouded in the naivety of youth. Their words resonated, forcing me to consider the evolution of language and how perspectives shift with time. While some echoed my disapproval, others offered alternative narratives, highlighting the importance of open communication and navigating past mistakes with grace. This spectrum of opinions triggered a process of introspection. Had I been too quick to judge? Was there perhaps a path towards reconciliation paved with understanding and dialogue? Thomas's attempts to mend the bridge between us were met with the deafening silence of unanswered texts. Each message, a pebble tossed into the chasm of our separation, rippled only momentarily before disappearing into the abyss. My walls, built brick by broken brick, stood firm against the waves of his apologies and promises. This silence, however, wasn't the empty hollowness of indifference. It was the pregnant pause before a new chapter, the hushed reverence after a storm. It was the fertile soil nurturing the seeds of self-discovery, the canvas on which I painted a future independent of his brushstrokes. Arthur, a name etched in the dust of forgotten photographs, a whisper on the wind. His age, a mere number, feels distant, irrelevant. Yet a part of me, fragile and tender, reaches out in silent hope. I don't seek a rekindled flame, but a flicker of light across the years, a confirmation that he too found his solace in the embers of our shared past.